Look, have mercy on me.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to On the Bluff. I'm your host, Christian Fowler. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Gabe Kuhn. Gabe, we have made it through the holiday season. We're back after a week off. What's up?
Happy 2024. Happy New Year
Made
to
it to a
everyone
new
out
year.
there. Yes, yes. A good year ahead of us. Fantastic year for the pod. Fantastic year in all of our lives. Let's just hope. Let's cross our fingers.
Cross
if
our
that's the
fingers
case.
and hope. How was Christmas? How
It was
New
good,
Year's?
man. It was good. It was good. Didn't do anything extravagant for New Year's. I think I'm over it. I think I'm over it completely.
Yeah, over New Year's.
Yeah, I just, we play it up too much. It's just it feels like an opportunity for a lot of younger people to just binge drink out of their mind and then act like they're a whole new person in the morning.
It's fair.
Yeah, and that's I'm out of that. That's a phase in my life that I think's over. So I just hung at the house for New Year's. I visited Chicago.
Yeah.
Alex Kuhn,
Yeah.
his girlfriend.
Yep.
Let's go, Big Al. Let's go, Big
Lex,
Al.
and then aunt and uncle and cousins, got to visit them. That was nice to see them. I stayed downtown, a couple of blocks off Michigan, so I did some shopping and stuff, and then a lot of eating. And I swear to you, you ever been to Chicago?
I have not.
New York,
Nope.
L.A.
Nope.
You
The furthest
no
he's
big
ever
cities.
been is Memphis
Yeah.
from his home.
No big cities.
That's not. Oh yeah, me and Kitty went to Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's okay.
Philly.
That's fair. I'm telling you, Chicago and New York, when it comes to food cities, they're 1 and 2, and I don't know if they have a peer. I don't know if there's a peer city-wise.
I believe it.
Like the food there is nuts, bro.
What was the?
I'm probably 10 pounds heavier right now. I'm not kidding you.
What was the best meal you had?
We went to this place called Piccolo Sogno, which was it's a real nice Italian restaurant over, I believe, in the West Loop. Very, very nice, good Italian food. I had a little pasta, had some short rib. That was phenomenal. We went to like this really old, it's like the oldest Italian restaurant in Chicago that's like real nice, Gene and Giorgetti's. I think that's Giorgetti's. But we went there. That was pretty solid. I think Piccolo Sogno laps it. And then we had this, it's called Duck, Duck, Goat. And there's this, chef, like a celebrity chef. It's like one of her 4 restaurants in Chicago. And it was, have you ever had like good dim sum, like good Chinese food?
No.
Oh,
Wonderful.
buddy. I ate my weight.
Hey, just to clarify,
I ate my weight in just pot stickers and like, oh my gosh, it was phenomenal.
I just want to clarify. You were eating Korean food, not Chinese food.
Am I?
Dim sum is Korean.
Oh, Korean. Sorry.
Pot stickers are Korean.
I apologize.
But it's all good. It's all good.
I apologize. I thought it was
Korean food is the best.
Wait, no, hold up. See, this is where I maybe dim sum is Korean. Maybe that's possible. Okay. Mm-hmm. But
Kenny did live in China for years, so maybe he's got some info that we don't.
yeah, I would take it. I'd take it from him, and I feel wrong for getting that wrong. If I am,
No.
wrong.
It's all good. It's all,
Cantonese.
yeah. Can't wait. What?
Cantonese.
Pot stickers.
It says dim sum is Cantonese, or China. It's Chinese. It's Chinese.
Cantonese is China, but dim sum is definitely a Korean food.
Okay, well,
But it's
either
okay.
way,
Either way, it's awesome.
it
It was good.
phenomenal.
Either way,
it was unreal.
It's awesome.
And you've been to New York and you've been to Chicago, though, Kenny, right?
I've never been to New York. I've been to Chicago.
Okay, Chicago, though, food-wise, is that top? It's top tier, right?
Oh, dude, Chicago.
Like, is there an argument? Like L.A., hell no. They have, like, gluten-free everything, and they put, like, little, microgreens on everything. I'm not into that.
No, not me neither.
Avocado heavy. I'm not even an avocado guy. This is my hot take of the day. Mm-hmm. I don't think avocados are any good. I don't think they taste like anything. I like guac's fine when you put the lime juice and all the fixings in there. That's
Avocados
cool.
are fine. They're nothing that I
don't
go
think
after very
avocados
often.
taste like much. I think
No,
they're kind
it's-
of bland.
yeah.
Like
I'm
by
with you.
themselves, you better salt and pepper those suckers.
How much deep dish did you eat?
None. I hate deep dish.
Really?
Yeah, and by the way, ask Chicagoans, deep dish is not their thing. They like regular pizza, a regular pie. Although it is like technically
A staple.
their staple that people think, but like locals don't actually eat a bunch of deep dish. Because deep dish is lasagna.
Nobody can eat a lot of deep dish.
No.
Like that's just not
It
something.
feels like like a lead balloon in your stomach.
You can't
it feels
eat it
like
that often. I had family that lived in Chicago for a while, and they still get deep dish sent in to where they live now in Orlando.
That makes sense. But
Deep dish is like Graceland for Memphians.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
It's like people come to Memphis to go see Graceland, and most Memphians are like, I ain't never touched that place in my life, never been there, never will go there.
Never have.
Yeah, I've had it before, and it's fine. It's just your stomach hurts like hell after it.
I love it.
And it's just so, the cheese is too gooey almost, and I know people will come after me for that. It's too much for me, man.
I'm not with you on that.
It's lasagna.
And lasagna's good.
Yeah, but just give me lasagna.
I don't know.
If I want lasagna, I'll get lasagna. If I want pizza, I'll get pizza.
I like the combo. I like the crust and the cheese. I'm a fan of deep dish.
Okay.
Very good.
So you've had Chicago deep dish, but you haven't been to Chicago.
No. Like I said, my family gets it shipped in from their favorite restaurant in Chicago.
You recall which one? Giordano's, Lou Malnati's?
I think it was Giordano's.
Okay, yeah. That's the staple.
But yeah, I think it was Giordano's.
Yeah. Makes
Sounds
sense.
right.
Yeah, but I'm not a deep dish guy.
I love it.
I'm a big man. I eat a lot of food.
Yeah.
It hurts my stomach. Like that is one food that like I will avoid because I'll have a tummy ache.
You have a tummy ache from that one?
Are you dairy allergic?
No.
What is it then? Just a bread, a lot
Dairy allergic, by the way.
What's
Dairy
Lactose intolerant.
from Memphis, bro?
Are you dairy allergic?
Are you dairy? You allergic to that dairy?
Yeah, but no, I'm not. But I think everyone isn't there like a study out there like everyone is somewhat. You just can't have too much dairy. You can't have too much lactose, or you'll feel bad.
You'll lactate.
No, no lactating on this side, brother.
I got nipples, fucker.
All right, that's enough of that, buddy.
That was
going down a path.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was about to go straight down.
Yeah. But yeah, what'd you do? Hung out?
Whew. I was busy the whole time, honestly.
Good.
Me and Anna Ruth had 7 Christmases that we did, so it was a lot.
Not even 4. You passed the 4.
We passed the 4.
Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon did 4. You got to 7.
Well, they did that in one day. We did it in 2. But still.
Did you do 4 in one and 3 of the other?
Yeah, I guess.
So you did 4 Christmas.
I guess we did, yeah.
And like what? Okay.
Actually, no, take that back. That was over Friday, Sunday, Monday. We didn't do it. We didn't have anything Saturday. We had 2 Friday, 3 Saturday, 2 Monday.
That's a marathon.
Yeah,
buddy.
It was. Yeah, we were absolutely.
Did you forget any names?
No.
Okay. All right.
100%.
All right. Was this like how familiar are you with her like family, extended family?
I mean, I did Thanksgiving with them too, so
Okay.
I had a. It wasn't the first time.
So you put them like all the names to memory, and you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm there.
Okay. All right. Good.
Pretty good at.
I'm very bad at that.
Are you?
I'm bad with.
I'm
names.
good at throwing them in the Rolodex and then being able to go back through them.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'll be like, just to make sure before we get somewhere, I'll be like, okay, so this is the right name, correct?
Oh yeah, you gotta ask.
Yeah,
you gotta ask ahead of time. You don't want to get family members' names
you can't
wrong.
roll
You
in there
cannot
blind.
do that.
No, not at all.
That is a bad look.
Yeah, so we did that. So that was Friday, Sunday, Monday. And then this past week, we had a ton of stuff too. I can't even remember. I know Thursday we had a birthday dinner for her great uncle. Friday, we did something. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It's the holidays, brother.
Yeah,
That's the holidays.
That's the way that it rolls. But it was really good. We had a lot of fun. We got to see family. We got to spend time with each other, family, friends. So we covered all the bases. So it was good.
You know what I was hyped up about though?
What?
On Friday. So full disclosure, I was in Chicago, so I was not able to make it to the Liberty Bowl, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, 65th edition of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Mm-hmm. But I was at a bar watching that game, and that was phenomenal, man.
It really was.
They saved the best for last. 36-26, get over top Iowa State. And it was a team and a coaching staff that was playing to win. It was a team and a coaching staff who still kept their wits about them and really wanted it at this point. And you could just tell the belief. And that's something with Ryan, like through all the ups and downs of this entire sort of tenure, you have always seen the players and the staff have belief in what's being pushed to them. And I think it all sort of came to a head in that game. And that's probably, for what it means and what it marks, I'd say it's the biggest win of Ryan's career.
Yeah, I would say without a doubt it was the most cohesive game that we've seen under Ryan Silverfield at Memphis. It wasn't the offense reaching down and pulling the defense out of the fire or vice versa. It was complementary football. It was both sides playing well. I know the defense wasn't perfect. 26 points. They allowed a lot of passing yards, but they played pretty well for the majority of that game. The offense looked really good from the jump. I think they finally found a way to marry what Ryan wants to do with what they need to do, if that makes sense. I know how much they want to establish the run and run the ball, but I think they finally found a really good balance of moving the pocket, of play action, of mixing up the running game, of getting the running backs involved in the passing game. We've seen it all individually, but all together in one game, I think it was the most cohesive this team has been.
And throwing some trickeration in there, and just the play calling was just that of a team that was playing to win. The fumble Ruski at the end of the first half to go set yourself up to go up 22-13 before half to get that field goal. Like, everything just came together. And there were mistakes made along the way. But ultimately they turned they were a 10-point dog going into that game. They won by 10.
Yeah, 20.5
point swing. That's phenomenal. And what it marks to me is the first time in Ryan's tenure where I see a shift in the fan base toward his side. Saying,
I agree.
Okay, there is positive momentum, and looking to next year, transfer portal, according to Rivals, is top 15 transfer portal class. You have a guy in Keondae Henry, one of the top 5 rated recruits at the wide receiver position out of high school. It's a good high school recruiting class. You're retaining the roster at a high level. Seth Henigan staying. Seemingly, Rock Taylor, Demir Blankenship. We got the announcement today from Kobe Drake that he's going to stay. You've tried to replenish the offensive line through the transfer portal. Like, everything seems to be heading in a positive direction, and that's not even mentioning you're probably going to have a new stadium here in a couple years.
Right.
You have all that good news on the stadium renovation front. So it's just that game encapsulated, I think, in just one afternoon, all of the positive thoughts we've been wanting to have but haven't been able to have about Ryan and where this program's headed. Yeah,
without a doubt. And you said this is the first time that we've really seen the fan base on his side. Not maybe a couple times throughout his tenure, maybe after that early Mississippi State win.
Right.
Maybe after the bowl game when everybody was jockeying for him to be head coach. But with him as the head coach, this does feel like the most 100% overall across the board. And it's never going to be 100%. But this feels like the most it's been across the board in favor of him and pushing for him, to continue to be here and to have success. Because all season, especially this year, it was but.
Yes.
It was, the record looks good, but. It was, sometimes the offense looks good, but. There's always been a but all season. And after the Iowa State game, you can't really have a caveat to it. There's not really an asterisk next to it. There's not a, but. It was Memphis came in with extra time to prepare for the first Power 5 team that they played all season and a quality opponent in a bowl game in an atmosphere where – you've already got the announcement of some players leaving, players that are not going to play, and we know what that is in college football and how difficult that is to deal with. Memphis answered the bell on that. A lot of that goes on the coaching staff, but it's on the players as well. They handled themselves very well. They come against a quality team, 20.5 point swing on the spread. They play good on both sides of the ball, and it can only lead into what does next year look like.
And there's no other team I can pick with SMU out of the picture into the ACC and with Tulane switching coaches, and you don't know what's going to happen with their transfer portal situation if John Sumrall is going to pick up right where Willie Fritz left off.
Already lost Chris Brazil.
You just look around and you're like, they are the favorite to win the conference next year. I don't know how you can pick anybody else, especially if they retain all these guys. And then taking it a step further, 12-team playoffs next year. Now, I'm not one to say like a playoff or bust. That's nuts.
You're crazy.
We're talking about the University of Memphis. You can't do that. But that's a realistic thing. If they keep it at the 6-6, 6 top-rated conference champions, 6 at-larges, or even if they go to 5-7 because the Pac-12 is no longer the Pac-12, you're looking at a tremendous opportunity to build on even what Norvell was able to accomplish here.
Without a doubt.
And, it just – if you're just reading through even the group of 5, like if they're – like let's think about the teams that can challenge them for the group of 5, right? Liberty would be one, but did you see today, Caden Salter, their starting quarterback in the transfer portal.
Right.
And they have their top cornerback in the transfer portal. Tulane, we don't know what John Sumrall is going to look like. SMU is gone. James Madison, maybe. But then it's like they have a new coach, Kirk Cignetti. Their head coach is off to Indiana.
Yeah.
So, like, there's this handful of teams. And right now, with the continuity, with what we've already seen them accomplish, Memphis is at the top of that group of 5. Like, they just are.
Yeah.
As long as everything sort of stays how we see it right this second, and there's not a mass exodus after spring ball or whatever.
Right. No, I mean, you're 100% right, because it's when you look around, there's not a clear-cut favorite. I would say that it would be Liberty. But I'm talking about going into, but then losing Caden Salter.
Huge.
He's really what
Yes.
brought them to that forefront. I mean, Caden Salter was a 4-star coming out of high school, went to Tennessee, transferred out. So that's a high-level pedigree that
threw for 3,000, ran for 1,000 last year.
That's a high pedigree of quarterback that most non-Power 5 schools do not get.
And, I mean, this is the real conversation about Seth Henigan. Best group of 5 quarterback returning?
Yeah.
Best group of 5 quarterback returning.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Now, until we see other guys start to emerge and, like, show who they are, I mean, he's at the top of the list.
Michael Pratt's gone, correct?
He's in the portal.
Is he?
He's
officially?
in the portal.
Okay, so he's officially in the portal. So, yeah. I mean, 32 TDs, 9 INTs, 3,800 yards this year. Ran for another 250 quietly.
5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. Like, and the experience is there. He's got the weaponry. Like, that's the conversation we're going to be having going into next year. And I even think that wide receiver core, you can make an argument for almost at the top of the group of 5, depending on the situation with Rock and Demir and what they've already put out there.
I have a question for y'all about Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He broke Brady's record this last week, in the all-time passing record at the University of Memphis in 3 years. We've spent a lot of time covering Brady. Where are we at with Seth in terms of in the pantheon of Memphis Tiger quarterbacks?
The issue that's going to keep him behind Brady is reaching the height of the Cotton Bowl, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I've always thought, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, I still am going to have my opinion. Maybe you could sway it, probably not. I've always thought that Seth was the more talented player.
Yes.
I've always thought that. But the surroundings and the situation and the weaponry was not quite there. But now, going into next year, if this roster stays together, that excuse is kind of deleted. It's gone.
For sure.
So now Seth is going to have to try to push past and push this program to new heights, and then I think we can have that conversation for real.
Yeah, and you also have to separate this conversation with Memphis quarterbacks, because I don't think Seth nor Brady is as talented as Riley nor Paxton.
Right.
That's not a conversation to have. Those are the two.
I think the best of the run was Riley, personally.
It's close.
No.
It's close. Both of those guys, they're 1 and 2, talent-wise. Now, overall, just career achievements, and a lot of that's going to be because of longevity. Like you said, it's going to be hard to pass Brady until you win a conference championship, go to a New Year's. Like, those are just things, heights that never been seen at the University of Memphis before. So if you don't match those, even if you have all the stats, it's like, okay, we got stats on one side, accomplishments on the other. How do you stack those and weigh those?
And we know
accomplishments outweigh
yes, they
stats.
do. They really do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's there. It's on the table, like we're saying right now. Like, Memphis could be the best G5 team in the country next year. They could be one of the best offenses in the country overall again. Like, everything's on the table for him to go grab, like, the most prestigious career at the University of Memphis. And it's kind of fitting from a guy who started from day one as a true freshman to go through his entire season or through his entire career at a school and start that entire time. Like, that's the one thing that's missing for him. Everything else has been checked. I mean, freshman All-American, he's going to break all the passing records.
Yeah.
It's just
because of longevity.
Because of longevity, yes. It's just because you got to check mark those accomplishment boxes.
And I was thinking about this just sort of after that game. What do you have? 364, 4 TDs.
Yeah.
He accounted for 5.
Ran for 1.
Ran for 1.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about You remember the first 6 games of the year when
Yeah.
he was not taking care of the ball overly
Didn't he throw
well?
a pick in every game? Or it was
Every
like
game.
first 4 or 5 games.
Yeah,
threw a
and
pick.
he really played bad first game of the year. Like
He was the guy that we felt like was
Bethune-Cookman.
holding. We were like, he's holding the team back right now.
Well, not necessarily holding them back, but he wasn't doing anything to facilitate winning at a high level. Like,
That's what I mean,
He wasn't.
right?
He wasn't a reason you were losing, but he also wasn't a reason you were winning
Right.
at that moment.
Correct.
And by the end of the year, these last few games of the year, my God.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable.
Without
he
a
was
doubt.
really good, and you saw the growth because I was questioning, like, has he regressed? He's progressed. He's progressed.
Yeah, no, that was
he
a
has
question.
progressed as a passer and a quarterback.
Yeah, around the middle of the year, that was a question. Has Seth Henigan regressed? Have we already seen the best of Seth Henigan at Memphis? Was it his freshman year? Was that the best we'll ever see him? In the second half of the season, he really came along, and I don't want to take any credit away from him, but I think a lot of that is Tim Cramsey and what he started doing as a play caller.
A lot of credit.
I think it's
Give it to Tim.
the cohesion that this offensive line finally got with Seth Henigan at the helm, because he's just never had a super successful offensive line while at the University of Memphis. And then it's weapons and players stepping up. Blake Watson stepping up, Rock Taylor stepping up, and any quarterback knows that it takes everything around them a lot of the time to bring them up a level. And not to say that he couldn't have done it without these things, but putting all that together and seeing it, you realize, okay, when he has stuff around him, when he has the play calling and the offensive talent and the offensive line, then Seth Henigan's a pretty dang good quarterback.
There was a moment where he had thrown, 7 picks. It was about halfway through the year. And then the last 7 games of the year, including the Liberty Bowl, 19 touchdowns to 2 interceptions through 7 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just, man, tip the cap. Whatever
sure.
you got to do. Like, my God, like you should be elated that this guy has one more year here.
Yeah.
He really should, because I think he's grown a lot, and he definitely showed that down the stretch of the season. There's some resolve there. He had some injury concerns at times. He pushed through that. He showed some toughness. He's definitely been in some battles. He's battle tested. He finally, like in that North Texas game, there was that moment of like, oh God, are we going to fold again?
Mm-hmm.
We're down. Are you going to fold after giving up this big lead? He didn't. Delivered a strike to Joe Skates.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of positive momentum with him and this program in general. Now, I want to bring up something that I brought up with your radio hit with me today. Backfield, the backfield. We have Blake Watson out the door, and then Mario Anderson Jr. in, Sutton Smith as well. I am actually very excited for what that backfield can do in 2024.
100%. I love what Blake Watson and Sutton Smith both brought.
Yes, and I'm not trying to like take away. Blake Watson was phenomenal this year,
and he'll be playing in the league.
Yeah,
like
he'll be a Sunday guy.
Yeah, he'll get an opportunity to play in the league. But their skill sets were so similar, that it was difficult to allow both of them to shine.
Yes,
Blake Watson.
You pick one and you say, "Here, you're going to get the touches."
Right, and that was Blake Watson.
Yes,
every game. I mean, Blake Watson carried the torch for the team for the entire year. And Sutton Smith is a guy that we were excited coming in as a freshman. He was a guy that we were excited about last year, and he just hasn't had the opportunities. And I don't think it's for a lack of talent. I think it was just for a lack of fit alongside Blake Watson. In comes Mario Anderson from South Carolina, a bigger running back, a more between the tackles running back. And you can kind of start to see the way this is going to shape up, because they found the correct role for Sutton Smith against Iowa State, the way that they used him as a receiver and the way that they used him as a runner. Even though it wasn't a ton, you can see what's there.
In the way I was talking to Alex about this, talking to my brother about this. He finally had the most defined role I've ever seen him have in a particular game. You're splitting him out. You're giving him some routes to run, giving him a few carries, and he shined because you told him exactly what is to be expected of him.
Yes,
and he made plays. And I like the amount, like when he caught that drag that he took for a touchdown. That was different.
Yeah.
Juked in between 3 guys, left them all in the dust, and then had the breakaway speed to make it to the end zone. Yeah. I'm excited about that skill set.
100%. Because that's what, honestly, at the end of the day, and
they got to keep him, because there's no guarantee that he's going to stay.
The way that they should use him is like Patrick Taylor and Tony Pollard.
Yeah. Thunder, lightning, whatever you want to call it.
Let Mario Anderson be your between the tackle goal line back, and let Sutton Smith be your between the 20s, down and distance, obvious passing situations, And then, if you're trying to get out in space and sweeps and off-tackle runs and stuff like that, use him in that capacity. And if they have that defined role where they're at a 60-40 split with Mario Anderson leading the way, then it can be pretty exciting because even if Sutton's getting 40% of the backfield work or 30, whatever that percentage is, he still needs to be on the field.
Yes,
he needs to be. He
yes.
needs to be on the field. He needs to be moved around pre-snap. He needs to be the guy where you're reading the defense with him because when you get a mismatch, that's where you want to go with the ball.
It's just so hard to defend that change of pace.
100%.
When it's on and especially when it's on the field at the same time. We saw in Norvell's years the split backfield with Antonio Gibson and Tony Pollard or Antonio Gibson and Patrick, whoever the hell was on the field at the time.
Right.
Like to have both those guys getting their touches, changing the sort of eyes for the defense. Defense is having to shift and sort of move around to favor a guy if they think they're going to get the ball. Like it's just hard, and you can also, offensively, it just opens so much for you. But I'm incredibly excited about what I saw from Sutton in that game, and then Mario Anderson Jr. I just think's a really good in between the tackles guy, and I know he'll be used that way. Now, final thing because I know we got to get to basketball. Defensive coordinator, what are we thinking? Jordan Hankins?
I mean, Jordan Hankins has a hell of an audition. He had a hell of an audition.
Defensive backfield, 434 yards. Rocco Becht. Let's
that's just them though.
That is what it is. That has to do with making plays on the ball.
I think that's personnel.
You can put guys into positions to make a play. They have to make the play.
Right.
And that's what we've seen that several times throughout this year with that secondary. But
that front seven,
Abu Sama came into that game, his final game of the year at Kansas State, who we know is stout.
Yeah.
Right? Like Chris Kleiman has those dudes playing physical football. Ran for 276 yards. He had 12 carries for 4 yards. Yeah. They netted 0 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And there was a clear shift in game plan where he was feeding everything to his linebackers. Chandler Martin was all over the field.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't just, hey, he motivated these guys. He made meaningful switches in a few weeks that made all the difference.
Yes. And that's what I mean by a hell of an audition. This secondary, they need work. They need a lot of work. The personnel is just not there to be successful. And that's a story for another time. That has to be dealt with in the transfer portal and recruiting, and that has to be squared away.
Yes.
Or teams will just be able to go over the top like they were this year. But what Jordan Hankins did in that game, like you're mentioning with the front seven and finally making a switch to where you really see a defense ran through a singular player, and this happens with special players, but the defense ran through Chandler Martin, as it should have all year because although there is talent on this defense overall, Chandler Martin is the best player on this defense, and he showed that throughout the entire season. And things need to be schemed to where he can be moved around and in different spots and blitzing and in coverage and where he's playing in run support. And so Jordan Hankins coming in clearly motivated that front seven to play in a way that I don't really think that we've seen this year. So I know the University of Memphis will do their due diligence and they will go through candidates and they'll do.
But it's going to be really hard to avoid what you just saw.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Jordan Hankins really showed that. I don't know how much he was in the conversation for it beforehand.
He was.
I would imagine he was.
There was definitely conversations about him being the in-house guy to lift up.
Because he was the time before, correct, when they brought in Matt Barnes.
Yeah, when they brought in Matt Barnes, Jordan Hankins was in the running.
Right. So he's been in it before, but maybe how serious that was, who knows? And he firmly planted himself at the
where
forefront
was he
of the
before?
conversation.
Somebody's going to have to let me know this.
Marshall, wasn't it?
No, that's Tim Cramsey.
I thought somebody else came from Marshall.
But I think it's UT Martin.
Yes,
Jordan Hankins.
he was
the DC there.
Yes, he was the DC.
So he has
Martin.
defensive coordinator experience, maybe at a lower level. But if you have that defensive coordinator experience at the Division I level in general, I feel like there's something to be said about
Jordan
that.
Hankins came from Marshall.
What?
Came from Marshall. Former Marshall linebackers coach, special teams.
Where was he the defensive
coordinator?
I think it was Murfreesboro. Martin.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I am almost positive.
Another
but either
thing,
way,
while you're looking that up,
he spent 10 years at UT Martin in 5 different positions, incling last 3 as their defense coordinator.
So
but he came from Marshall.
But point being is that's the type of guy that I think could, as an in-house guy to lift up, to be the defense. I feel like that's his. Short of the $1 million a year D coordinator that you can't hire at Memphis. I think that's about as good as you can do.
Well, and another thing we have to worry about is Chandler Martin has come out in very much favor of Jordan Hankins getting the job.
And I saw my old teammate Zay Collins said the same thing. People rave about it. Now here's again, I do listen. I agree with that. I think you should take into consideration what the players think, but I am not fully. No. Like when we talk about player hires, I'm not fully on board with player hires. They have failed before, but I do like how head over heels his players seem to be about.
Yes, that speaks a lot about him. Okay, let's hit just a little bit of basketball real quick. We're not really in a spot right now where there's a ton going on or has been a ton going on with Christmas break and stuff, obviously. Let's center this conversation around one person, that is Nae'Qwan Tomlin. He has played 2.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
Fitting.
He's played 2 games now for the University of Memphis, one against Vanderbilt, one against Austin Peay. Played, 14, 15 minutes, something like that against Vanderbilt. Played okay. He wasn't bad. He just
came out and hit a three-pointer.
Right. Good minutes.
It was good. It was good minutes. You could tell, a little bit of adjustment time.
Now get to the next one.
Comes out against Austin Peay. 23 minutes, 15 rebounds, 15 points, 3 blocks. Mm-hmm. In his second collegiate game of the year.
Here's the thing, just looking at his skill set, you're like, this is going to be seamless.
Yeah.
But 2 games in, and you can say it's Austin Peay all you want. I don't give a damn. If you're playing collegiate basketball and you get 23 minutes, 15 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, the amount of effort he expends on the defensive end, the energy reminds me of DeAndre Williams, just the energy.
Yeah.
And how he carries himself.
But the athleticism?
The athleticism is nuts. He's got a 3-ball. He can spread the floor. Good God, man. Once he actually gets, knows plays and knows exactly what's expected of him on the defensive end, it's just going to be... It's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
What the starting lineup could look like. And I think, at some point they're going to have to pull that string.
Yeah.
I love Malcolm.
Right.
It has nothing to do with Malcolm.
Malcolm's played his ass off all
to do
year.
with Nae'Qwan Tomlin being that guy.
Being that good. Yeah, no, he's ridiculous. And we talked about it on the radio earlier today. If Nae'Qwan Tomlin, if David Jones, and if Javon Quinterly are on their A games, I really don't know if there's a team that can, very few teams at best can beat Memphis if they are playing 100%. Because I just named 3 players. That's not mentioning Malcolm Dandridge. That's not mentioning Jaquan Walton. That's not mentioning Caleb Mills. That's only mentioning 3 players on a team that is extremely talented.
Nick Jourdain, you didn't even mention.
Yeah. So it's that's just their 3 best players. And if they're playing at their A game, how good can this team be? They're up to number 15 now in the top 25. They rolled 3 top 25 teams in a row, 11-2 now on the season, going into a weak conference schedule where they will be favored in every single game outside of a road game at FAU.
And that might have changed with FAU.
Yeah, with FAU losing to Florida Gulf Coast when Florida Gulf Coast didn't have their leading scorer or their 4th leading scorer.
Yeah.
What? How?
Yeah.
How? They've already got a loss to Bryant. I mean, it's just... I never liked how it was ranked in the preseason.
No,
it was strictly about last year, but whatever. I saw Kenny sort of go through this as well because there's a lot of people with these last 2 games, and Kenny, you can definitely attest to this. There's a lot of people these last 2 games are like, oh, they've been sloppy. It scares me going into conference play. I think there's something to be said about playing awful basketball to your standards, and still winning an SEC game by 2. And beating Austin Peay by double digits when you looked like trash for most of the game.
This is what top 10
good teams
do,
right?
No, you're
Not every
right.
game is going to be beautiful.
No.
David Jones isn't going to go for 37 every game.
Right.
Okay, so there's going to be some games where guys don't really have it. Maybe the energy's low because, first of all, the last game before Christmas break and then the game after coming back from Christmas break are the ones we're talking about.
Right.
Though,
right? Those 2 games, especially that Vanderbilt game, I mean, that was 3 top 25 teams in a row.
And then it's the last game before you go to Christmas.
Right.
And then the game coming back from Christmas is Austin Peay and probably not a lot of people in the stadium. You can see where the emotions were maybe low and where it's just like, oh, let's get through this type thing.
And they did.
And
I
hope that's not the attitude they take into conference play. That's concerning in itself. But there is something to be said about a team not putting their best foot forward and winning ball games.
Yeah.
That's what good teams do. And this team has proven that they can do that. And the other part of this is if you're concerned about close games, they've fared very well in close games.
6-1.
They're 6-1 in games decided by 6 points or fewer.
Yeah.
That has not always been the case with Penny Hardaway coach teams. Sometimes they'd get a little too tight at the end of games and let them slip away. The only one they let slip away was Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is still a very good team. Yeah. So, I mean, man, I look at 11-2 in the out of conference, and I'm just going to look at it as that 11-2 in the out of conference. Am I a little concerned about slip ups in conference? Sure, you should be. It happens. Because none of these games are games like you have everything to lose in these games.
Yeah.
So you could have that tendency on your back. You could have that tendency to play tight. Right. So like you can be concerned about it, but also realize like I think they could afford one, maybe two slip ups in conference. I think they are afforded that, but I don't necessarily expect it. I'm not going to project that.
No, I wouldn't either.
Gabe, if they do that though, that means they're coming out of the regular season with 4 losses.
I know. I'm aware. Like
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying.
That's like That's like. Two line in the seeding rank in the rankings are 1.
They're right now, according to Lenardi, at 4 in the Midwest against Liberty.
Yeah.
So
I mean, would you have believed?
And Lenardi's actually usually hard on
teams
like Memphis too.
I just don't think many of us would have believed, even though we were very high on Memphis's talent, that they would have been 11-2 throughout the non-conference. I was thinking 4 or 5.
I thought that they were going to come out with. We had said at the beginning of the year them coming out clean. What does clean look like? And I think
3 or 4 losses.
3 or 4 losses was what we said. Clean. If they can come out clean with 4 losses, they're going to be in great shape.
They've come out the number 15 team in the country with 4 top 25 wins. They're sparkling.
Right.
It's not just clean.
Yeah. No. It's almost flawless.
Yeah.
It is almost flawless.
I mean, they had the 2 slip-ups, Villanova and Ole Miss, and then they righted the ship. They're on a win streak right now.
Yeah.
And starting on Thursday away at Tulsa, we'll see what they're going to look. I think that's a good preview. That is a good feeling.
For what they will look like.
That's a good start for, like, maybe not just what they look like. I just want to see the type of energy
that's what
they have. Right.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
How do they play in those scenarios against inferior teams?
On the road.
On the road, yeah.
Probably a
lot of people there.
Crappy, venue.
Yeah.
How are you going? What energy are you going to bring? That's going to be a good preview.
Yeah. All right. Well, we know who always brings the energy. That's one Kenny Stubblefield. So we are going
and I'm very clean.
He's what?
He's very clean.
He's clean?
I'm clean and sparkling.
Clean and sparkling. Okay. Energy, clean, sparkling, all words to describe Kenny Stubblefield. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back on the other side with the Hot 3.
What a huge week. Can we call them the 3 Kings? Can we replace the old 3 Kings with the new 3 Kings?
Well, they were 4 Kings, though.
Yeah, but these 3 are better than the 4.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
The 3 being David Jones, Javon Quinterly, and Caleb Mills. Through these last 2 games on the road, both in Raucous Arenas, they've combined, do you know how many points they've combined for?
I don't remember the number you actually talked about.
I know, I told you.
Very briefly. I don't remember the number. I do remember it being staggering.
Timothy's memory was 126 combined points in the last 2 matchups. That's 63 a ball game between the 3 of those fellas. David Jones leading the way. He was American Conference Player of the Week, averaging 26, 7.5 rebounds, and 3 steals in 2 road games. Dropped 23 on VCU with 8 boards, and then dropped 29 yesterday in College Station. Keep that up. We're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about?
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Not just the level of individual talent that he plays, but it's also the level of his mind. We haven't gotten cross-court open shot this year. Right. We haven't seen that pass a lot. Number one, you got to respect him going to the basket. There's a roller. I got to watch the roller. He has the mind to be able to say, I see all of that, and now I see this guy over here. I'm going to get him this open shot. How shifty he is to always be going forward. It's usually side to side.
Yeah.
His dribble moves are side to side, but going forward.
Right.
Which is very hard to defend. I just want to get you, as many times can I get you to do this? But for him, it's not here. It is here, which is are his moves to get down the floor. It's awkward for a defender to try to catch a cadence You dribble. So now what I do is now when you go put that ball down, I'm going for it. But with him, it's hard for my cadence. But what's my cadence for you? I don't know what it is.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. Discover a world of possibilities at Streetcars of Memphis. Revamp your ride with the ultimate auto transformation. From booming audio systems to eye-catching wheels, powerful lift kits to sleek drop kits, cutting-edge LED lights and light bars, we've got it all. Unleash your style with confidence. Feel the next level of auto care at Streetcars of Memphis. Your dream ride is just a visit away. Visit us online at www.901scm.com and let the transformation begin. Oh, baby, it's the first Hot 3 of the year.
Yes, sir.
I am so excited.
Are you? Are you?
No, I really am to be back with you guys. We took like 2 weeks off, and it was much needed.
It weighed on my heart, man.
But I was like, yo, this is crazy. I need to get back in the studio with my boys, man. We got to talk. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We have a lot to catch up on.
We do.
We really do. And helping us catch up on that is this Hot 3, and it is sponsored by Streetcars of Memphis, a 901-based business, locally owned by some dudes from Memphis, good guys over there. Man, they can do literally everything there. They can take care of your car. They can give you oil changes. They can take the adjustments and balances on your tires. They can do all just the regular day-to-day stuff. But they can also
pimp that ride.
Pimp that ride, boy. They can get you anything you want, man. If you need some winter tires, if you need to jack your car up, if you need lights, if you need sound, if you need anything, badass tires, they can do that for you.
Spinners,
baby.
let's bring those back.
Listen, for this month, for the month of January, you can absolutely use the code on the Bluff, ONTHEBLUFF.
Nice.
And receive a $55 regular oil change or a $65 for full synthetic oil changes. Basically, it's at cost for those guys.
Those are good prices.
Those are really good prices, guys. Check those out. But no, these guys can do it all, man. Check them out. Go to their website, 901scm.com, or call them up, 901-323-3332. Give them the code on the Bluff, and that discounted oil change is y'all's, baby.
There we go. All right, we ready?
Links in the description below. Gosh. See, 2 weeks, I didn't get it wrong. Listen.
Yes. Even after the long layoff.
It's because I'm a professional.
It is.
Yes.
All right, let's go. College football playoffs, man. Last night was lit.
It was phenomenal.
It was great. They've been few and far between when both college football playoff games have been really good, and both of these came down to literally the last play. Texas almost came back and beat Washington, and Bama had a last-second drive to get down to the 4-yard line. Last play of the game, 4th and goal. They don't get it. So both games down to the wire, very competitive. You gotta love when both games are competitive, and now we know after what happened in the Orange Bowl.
Yes.
What we knew all along is that for the game's sake and for fans' sake, the committee got everything right.
Yeah, well, like Georgia, whatever. I'm not going to go nuts. I think they got it correct when it comes to compelling matchups. And I think even the Natty, we'll get to that in a second, is going to be a compelling matchup. But like Florida State, I still don't want to hammer them. Because they had 25 guys either opt out or get in the transfer portal. 18 of them were in there too deep. It's just that's not the same team.
No, not at all.
Florida, we know that game would have been different if, they had guys still on the roster. We had Brock Glenn, a third-string freshman quarterback, not throwing to Keon Coleman or Johnny Wilson. That's not fair.
No.
Right? And then Tate Rodemaker got in the transfer portal right before the game. I didn't foresee that coming. It's just felt bad for Florida State. But ultimately, I just think it's and we'll get to this after we talk about the college football playoff and the Natty and everything else. It is an indictment of where we're at in bowl season. That's a New Year's Six bowl. That was 5 versus 6. That was the biggest bowl game outside of the college football playoff, and it was a big nothing, 63-3, and we all saw it going that way.
Yeah.
It's just disappointing. But start with Alabama, Michigan. What do you say? J.J. McCarthy looked good.
He played.
I want to give clean ball.
Played ball.
Yeah, 17 for 27, around 200 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Looked good, ran the ball pretty well.
Blake Corum is so good.
Blake Corum is very good. I do wonder. I've been talking to people about this. Like him at the next level, I don't know
Is
what
he
that's
not
going to look
slow?
like. He's kind of. He's not like the fastest,
But he's shifty,
But
man.
he's shifty, and he knows he's
a good running back.
and he's got good vision.
Yeah.
he gets.
I think
he knows how to play the position.
I think he'll be productive at the next level. I don't think he'll be elite, but overall, yeah, Michigan got to play their style of ball.
And then Alabama, the same things that have hampered them all year, hampered them in that game. I think offensive coordinator Tommy Rees is at the top of the list.
Yes.
He makes adjustments too late. He didn't start using Jalen Milroe's legs until the second half. And then you saw that offense start to play a lot better. Jalen Milroe and the turnovers. That turnover after the 3-and-out they got when they were up 17-13, that even though Michigan didn't make that into points, that meant something to the momentum shift in the game. I thought Alabama, after getting that 3-and-out, that was the peak of the momentum. They could have seized it. I was like, I even put it on my Twitter. I said, Bama smells blood, but they couldn't capitalize on it. They're just not as timely as a Bama team as we've seen in the past.
Snap.
And then the bad snaps. It
Center
showed up
play. The center play was terrible.
even on the final play of the game, which I don't like the call from Tommy Rees. A low snap caused Jalen Milroe to freak out and just run into the back of his own guy.
Yeah.
But everything that we've seen as far as issues are concerned from that Alabama team on the offensive side, it just came to life.
And then on the flip side,
And I thought, but by the way,
go
real
ahead.
quick, Tommy Rees, and this is my bad. I did cut you off.
Yeah, you're good.
Tommy Rees sleptwalked through that first half.
Yeah, he did.
There was just like, well,
There was
offensively, you
It was
didn't
bland.
very bland, and the only time they were able to take advantage of anything is when Michigan muff punts.
Yep.
And screwed up on the special teams, and they did that the entire game. But then they just couldn't capitalize when it mattered the most.
For sure. Yeah, don't agree with the play call at all at the end of the game. But
What would you like? See, here's the thing. Like this is, I will always stand by this. If you don't agree with the play call, and I know what I'll say. If you don't agree with the play call, what would you have done?
yeah,
Right.
In that situation, ball's on the right hash. I think he had two receivers on the left side. Running back goes in the motion. I don't mind the formation. I don't mind the running back going in the motion. But what I was thinking, as soon as was it Jason? I think it was Jason McClellan. As soon as he went in the motion, I'm thinking, okay, they're rolling pocket left. They're gonna have a 2-man route with Jason McClellan potentially as an outlet. And if
this
there's
is
nothing
Jalen
there,
Milroe pressing it.
right,
Run if you need to.
If there's nothing there, he can take off. And
So you have
they
4
did not.
options on one side, right?
I just got frustrated in the fact. Okay, yeah, I agree with putting the ball in Jalen Milroe's hands. He's gotten you there. He's been tremendous down the stretch of the season. He was a Heisman. Was he top 5 finisher in the Heisman race? Like, hats off. Love the guy. I'm never gonna blame somebody for putting the ball in the hands of their star when the time calls for it. But to not give him a throwing option there, just really peeved me, because I thought most of his good run plays in that game were when they had straight dropbacks or a rollout, and he improvised, because that's really where he does most of his damage, when it's off script and you can't really plan for it on the defensive side of the ball. Give him an option to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, let him go use those legs. Don't corner him into running between the tackles against the Michigan front 7, which is stout as all get out. It's huge. I mean, they have 350 pounders in there. Their DNs are really good. Their linebackers fill and hit you right in the mouth. I just, from the 3-yard line, I just did not enjoy that play call. Now, was it kind of there? Kind of. Yeah, but you would have had to have a perfect snap, and Jalen Milroe would have had to make the end man on the line of scrimmage miss by the end of it. Made him arm tackle him or something. Everybody's like, follow the guard in. Not that simple.
Yeah. No, and I think if you do run the ball there, at least have a running back in the backfield and have a zone read.
Yes. Options.
Yeah, options. Don't give yourself one outlet, and that's it.
Yeah, Alabama fans are. It's funny. Like, as soon as it ended, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure they'll handle this right in stride. First thing I see is a Spaces on X. Tommy Rees buyout. It's like, pay Tommy Rees's buyout, and all Alabama fans are just spilling their dirty laundry.
Sounds
in there.
about right.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Washington and Texas, really good game, back and forth for the majority of it.
Michael Penix,
Michael
man.
Penix is so good. He is so good at throwing the ball downfield under pressure.
How many times? But this is what's funny. We've said this all year. How
Yeah.
many people realized it? Like the casual fans realized it for the first time last night.
A lot.
It's nuts.
A lot.
So this guy's been doing it since Boise State. The first game against Boise State,
Yeah.
he threw for 490, and if you were watching, you were like, "Holy God!"
Yeah, I mean,
he's so accurate.
There's a reason he was the Heisman favorite for the first half of the year. I mean, Michael Penix is incredible, and he is the best deep ball thrower in college football. There's really no debate. I know there are good deep ball throwers in college football, but Michael Penix drops it in a bucket.
I mean, you're hard pressed. Last 5 years, find a better deep ball accurate, the guy with deep ball accuracy in college football.
Yeah.
Like that, it's nuts. And obviously he's got the help of Jalen Millen, Jalen Polk, Rome Odunze. He's got that help. But where he places those balls, it's not like all those guys were running wide open, 5 yards open.
No.
Against Texas's secondary, he just placed the hell out of the ball every time he got a chance to. And Washington, of all the 4 teams got in the college football playoff, I think we both agreed, like, you know,
They have the most flaws.
Yeah, they have the most flaws. They're the least complete team.
Yeah.
But if you are completing, I think the stat is 30-plus air yards downfield so far this year, 52% completion percentage.
Absurd.
That's the equivalent of a basketball team hitting 50% of their threes every game.
Really?
And we watch basketball enough, if a basketball team hits 50% of their threes,
You're gonna win.
They're likely going to win a ball game. They may not be the best rebounding team. They may not have the physicality. Their front court may not be anything. But if they can hit 50% of their threes, they can win consistently. That's what this Washington team is. Like, you line up anybody against them, any secondary, they are going to, whatever you do well, they can equal it with the deep ball.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, because as we saw on Monday night, they don't have a great defense. Texas was able to get up and down the field. They have had a running game at some
And their
times
O-line
this
did
year.
win the Joe Moore Award, didn't it?
I think so.
I think so. But they, in a big part of that is they do keep Michael Penix
Clean.
upright.
Yeah.
He's never on the ground.
Yeah. The running game struggled for the half of the year. Dylan Johnson over the last 6 games was top 5 in rushing yards per game. So their running game did come along. It was pretty non-existent against Texas. I know Dylan Johnson had 2 touchdowns, but
21
didn't have
for 49.
Right, didn't have any running room, and also went down at the end of that game. So
That means something.
yeah, that means a lot, because Dylan Johnson really was a threat that could at least make you think that Washington would run the ball. And you said 21 attempts. They try to run the ball. Like, they're not a team that's going to drop back and throw it 65 times. Like, they will mix in the run, and without having the threat of Dylan Johnson, that's a big loss if he's not able to play. But at the end of the day, it matters about 4 players. One being head and shoulders
Number
above
9.
them, and that is number 9. That is Michael Penix. But then alongside Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk, and Rome Odunze. Like, you got those 3 guys, and you got Michael Penix. You can beat anybody on any given night. Because this is a stylistic matchup of Michigan wants to line up, run the ball, control clock,
And I'd imagine they'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
For the most part.
play defense, force turnovers, get extra possessions, take care of the ball. Washington is guns blazing.
Yes.
Score as fast as we
Circle
can.
the wagons, baby.
Yes.
Let's sling this thing downfield.
Yes.
As
So-
a non-avid college football watcher, what I see is Michigan likes to take advantage of the other team's mistakes. They want to capitalize on what they do,
Right.
force them into mistakes, force them into not doing what they want to do. If Washington can do what they want to do, which is what you guys are talking about, they can't be stopped.
This is going to be Michigan tries to break Washington's will, and Washington says, "I don't care if you're physical. We're going to sling it over top every chance we get, and you better knock it down.
yeah.
You better get us to 4th down,
Yeah.
or we have a chance to win the game."
Yeah, if Washington is able to play their game, I find it hard pressed to see them losing.
Because they've done it. It's weird because it's like they beat Arizona State 15-7. They had a real close shave with Washington State, who finished the year horribly.
Yeah.
Like, you see those games and you're ready to count them out, and then they answer in the Pac-12 championship by beating Oregon again by 3. And you're like, oh my gosh, everybody thought Oregon was going to win that game and get in the college football playoff. Right. Then you get into this game against Texas. You're like, Texas is just more complete. I think their secondary can hold up. No, they can't.
Yeah.
No, they can't. Good luck.
Yeah.
They just have an answer. Every time you doubt them, they will come out and show you why you should never doubt them. And Michael Penix, at this point, with how much ball we've seen him play, I'm done. I'm done doing anything close to doubting him.
Yeah, no,
The
not
fact
at all.
that he had Indiana in the COVID year at number 12 in the country at one
Right.
point. We gave Tom Allen, that head coach who just got fired, all that damn credit. And we realized on the back end it was Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix Jr. doing all of it.
Yeah.
Doing all of it.
Yep. It is a very compelling matchup, though. I will say,
Yeah.
you have two teams that have not been in the national championship game since the 90s. First time since 2015, there has not been an SEC team in the national championship. So this is kind of a new blood. I know.
Yeah.
Michigan's a blue blood program, but this
In
is
Washington,
kind of,
too, kind
yeah,
of.
Yeah, but this is one you wouldn't have expected at the beginning of the year. How about that?
Well, Michigan maybe.
it may, yeah.
Washington was always going to be a dark horse.
But there was
going to
be that question about Michigan always is can they do it?
I was very impressed to see even with their special teams against Alabama, they didn't piss down their leg when it mattered.
And
the
they
most.
almost did.
They almost did. They tried to.
They tried to.
But I'll give them credit. They overcame. And I've never seen a Jim Harbaugh coach Michigan team do that in the playoff.
No, not at all. And, especially that last punt
What are you? Oh my God, man. Catch the damn ball.
or let it go.
Yes, exactly.
Something. That almost cost them. That was just, you got lucky the way that the ball bounced on that one.
All right, now, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or the doom and gloom guy with college football and bowl season. Outside of the college football playoff, and I'll give the Liberty Bowl its props. It was good. Gator Bowl was okay with Kentucky and Clemson.
ReliaQuest Bowl.
Hey, that Pop-Tarts Bowl was fire.
Yeah, because of the Pop-Tart. Because of the edible Pop-Tart.
That was
It wasn't
awesome.
about the game.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a
But,
fun game, but that was an awesome.
It was about the Pop-Tart.
The
Let's be
Pop-Tart was
completely
cool.
honest. It was about the marketing around it that everybody loved. Outside of like a handful of bowls, like it's a second-rate product, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You have-
transfers and opt-outs and coaches gone
Yeah.
and third-string quarterbacks stepping up to do something. You have the best. But if you watched that Georgia Florida State game 63-3, it didn't feel like a type of just like mental anguish. If you're a college football purist, I don't know what you felt like. That was depressing. That was very, very depressing.
Yeah, and I felt this way.
I felt like this for a while. It's been deteriorating, but this year
It was
with the transfer portal window the way it is,
Right.
it really accentuated some things.
No, it was very obvious, and there really are. At the end of the day, there's only 3 bowl games that matter in this current format, and it is the 2 college football playoff games and the national championship game. Outside of that, what are you really playing for? You got guys that are going to go to the NFL instead. You got guys that are going to get into the portal instead so they can make a decision and get recruited. You have coaches that are going to go elsewhere.
They still get watched, right? Like
Yes.
there's still a fair amount of people watching. But like the issue I run into is how do you expect the consumer to continue to care when it seems like the programs don't actually care?
Yeah. No,
It seems like whether it's coaches or players or supports, it seems like it's all just sort
Because
of
fans are going to care no
people
matter
are just
what.
walking. Yes, but it just seems like the effort shown and put down to go to these bowl games, it's just not quite there.
And we talked about this earlier on your show, and I think this does help. And I know it's not it's not going to fix everything, and I don't think there is any fixing everything.
No, you can't.
I
Yeah.
think bowls are never going to be what they were in the past. The golden age of bowls, that's over. But the 12-team playoff makes things so much better.
Way more games that matter.
You go from 3 games that matter to what would it be? So your first round would be is there buys? There's buys?
I think
correct?
there's some buys.
So let's say there's 13 or 14.
Whatever
games. It's just something-
whatever the games are.
something
yeah.
around there.
Yeah,
So 10
I
to
think it'd be less
14
than that, but
yeah, 10 to 14 games, something like that. It's close.
I don't know.
10.
I'd have to go back and check the exact format, but sure. Let's just, for sake of this conversation.
You go from 3 to 10. Let's just say 10.
Yes.
You go from 3 games that matter to 10 games that matter. All your New Year's 6 bowls matter again,
Yeah.
which they didn't this year. We just talked about the Orange Bowl.
And Liberty versus Oregon was a stinker.
Right. Which you'll have some of those.
Yeah.
We'll have some of those in a 12-team playoff. But the game will matter going into it.
Yeah.
And so just that in and of itself is a major improvement Because honestly, I didn't watch many bowl games at all this year because I know that they don't matter. I watch the college football playoff games because I know that they do matter. You go into next year and you have 12 teams that are competing for a national championship. Their entire staff is going to be there. Their entire player roster is going to be there. That team will be 100% intact.
The issue you run into is like Oregon State. I'm just going to bring up a random one that just comes off the top of my head. Oregon State. DJU is a quarterback. That in itself is fun to watch. Jonathan Smith is the coach. He's done a really good job there. One's off to Michigan State. One's off to Florida State. They're not playing. Aiden Childs, who is the backup, who is a 5-star, is off to Michigan State with Jonathan Smith. So that team who had an awesome year, a really good year for Oregon State standards. Top 25 team. They play Notre Dame, and they get absolutely smacked, and you know they're going to get smacked because no one's there anymore.
Yeah.
So the coach clearly didn't really care about that bowl game. The starting quarterback didn't care about that bowl game. The backup quarterback didn't care about that bowl game. The running back, I think he was hurt, but he was going to opt out anyway. He didn't care about that bowl. The whole system is broken in a way that can't be fixed because it's the recruiting calendar ultimately, right? Like coaches have to leave if they're going to take another job because you have to get guys into school in January, whether it's transfer portal or if you want to bring in high school guys early because the early signing day is December where you're getting the transfer portal guys, where you're getting the high school guys.
Yeah.
And that part of the calendar, I don't know if you can change it. You just can't.
You can't.
Because you have to do those things.
Yeah.
And we're not taking away early signing day.
No.
Like that is, I can guarantee you that will not happen.
Absolutely
it was
not.
added for a reason because you want to get guys who are early enrollees.
In bowl practices.
But exactly, like you just want to get it out of the way so you don't have to wait till February in the middle of the second semester.
And try to keep holding on to players, especially in these days.
It's just the calendar is so jacked up and so different than it ever has been in the past, and there's no real meaningful change you can make. The one meaningful change I could think about is if bowl games literally paid the best players to play in the games. But then the question becomes, okay, am I going to pay DJU X amount of dollars and these other guys don't get paid anything? Like, no, that's not how that would work.
No.
And then also, are the bowl games, like in the freaking Boca Raton Bowl, afford to pay somebody $50,000 to make an appearance in the game?
Yeah.
And what does that guy look like if he gets that $50,000? Is it about the game or is it about the money?
Ain't nobody playing at the Boca Raton Bowl is going to be getting $50,000
But you get my point. Like
they
they don't have enough money. Like,
right.
So that's the only meaningful change I could see outside of the schedule because I don't think the schedule's changing.
No, I don't either. No, I think
it's unfortunate.
I think this is the point where we're at. Bowl games that are not, or teams that are in bowl games that are not competing for a national championship do not matter.
And it stinks, man.
It does, because they used to all be fun.
It takes away from the group of five story of a team who's turned it, UNLV.
Yeah.
Takes away from that story because people just don't care about the bowl game they're going to be a part of.
Yeah.
They played Kansas this year in whatever bowl. I forget what bowl game that was. But guaranteed rate, maybe, I don't know. But they played them in that bowl game, like those type of stories where they have the first 10-win season in the 2000s and the first third bowl game they've been to since 2000.
You'll still have that. I mean, like we just said.
But that story's not accentuated it once was. That's the point I'm making.
No, you're right. You're right there. But there was. I think I'm being a little over dramatic saying that none of them will matter. Just like Memphis and Iowa State, it was still a competitive game.
It was
still a fun game, fun atmosphere. So you will have those, but the discrepancy between what matters and what doesn't will grow even more because now it's like, okay, there's 4 teams. Like, give us a little bit more credit. Like, there's 4 teams, so these other games matter. Now you got 12 teams. Yeah. Those 12 teams matter, and then that's about it. You know what I mean? There will still be fun bowl games.
Listen, it still means like Ole Miss has 11 wins. That means something.
Yes.
But I don't know, like that bowl game, I don't know if people are going to remember that. Like, remember that in some meaningful way. Maybe they beat Penn State. I don't know. But, like, you would have to ask some Ole Miss fans. I just feel like the luster of bowl season, with all the backup quarterbacks and all the NFL draft prospects gone, with all the guys that are prospects trying to find a better place to go that are in the transfer portal, it just has cheapened the product to a point that I don't like. And I'm a guy who I still watch bowl games and I still try to do my best to enjoy them, but I find myself sitting there like, this is terrible football.
Yeah. No,
bad quarterback play, bad special teams, a team that's not prepared well enough because maybe they don't have their head coach. Like, you just get too much of that in bowl season.
Pretty much everything can have an asterisk next to it. All right, Kenny, topic number 2. We went super long.
Yes,
on
we
that one.
did.
Yes. Let's go to this second topic and let's keep it quick. Man, obviously the city of Memphis has been abuzz. The whole NBA world has been going crazy since Ja came in and had a couple of games against the New Orleans Pelicans. Was in New Orleans for the second time in 3 games, I think. Won the first game, buzzer beater. Came down. The second game came down to an overtime game, and Ja celebrated the win in overtime
After a lob
dunk from Marcus Smart with a dance.
Yes.
I can't remember what the dance is called.
But it's got
the creator
got this
of
thing
it
going.
The creator of it in New
There you go.
Orleans came out and said,
Do that again.
"Yeah, do that one more time."
That one.
Yeah.
It's got one of those going.
I saw the dance and I kind of figured there was going to be a little bit of a hullabaloo about it, but there wasn't, except for some dweebs that have a podcast, one being Michelle Beadle and one being Chandler Parsons. They had some things to say, and this is what Chandler Parsons had to say. He said, what else has to happen for you, talking to Ja, and your family and your friends to learn? Make this about basketball, man. Make this about your life. Make this about your livelihood. And stop doing things like this. Shout out to the city of Memphis.
They hammered him.
Who keeps receipts better than anybody I've ever seen in my entire damn life.
It's fair.
For literally taking both of those two to the table, to the woodshed, and smacking them around. What are your guys' thoughts? Keep it quick. I know it's overdone, but
I've got one thing I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna be done. Look, as long as Ja stays out of trouble off the court and does his thing and continues balling, I don't really care what kind of dances that he does or what kind of gestures.
No, who gives a shit?
Who cares?
Who gave you?
There's too much going on in this world to concern yourself over.
One. Here's the thing. I tried to ignore it until it became like it definitely grew some legs that I was not ready for it to grow. One. Ja having fun doing dances after a lob dunk and doing an ode to the city he's in to troll them with their own dance, and him smiling and him that's who Ja is. That's who you want him to be.
Yeah.
That's the entertainer that the NBA, everybody around the NBA enjoys. So for you to say something against that or to try to tear that down, I just think is completely dumb and ill-aimed.
it's lame as hell.
Now,
man.
two, there's always going to be like things like this with Ja. There's always going to be nonsense like this because of what he's gotten himself into the past year and a half to 2. And I don't think there should be. I think it's stupid that things like this will pop up, but that is the bed that he has made for himself, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But all this to say, Chandler Parsons, get over it, man. Like, get over the Memphis thing, because I think this is really coming from a player there, and I'm not the woe is me Memphis guy. I'm not that guy. But Chandler Parsons clearly has something against the Memphis Grizzlies and people who are associated with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
He needs to get over it, dude. You got $94 million. We've let it go.
And have you heard his story? He told about the $94 million.
Yeah, where he knew he wasn't healthy enough.
He wasn't healthy enough, and he said, "Man, I'm all in on this grit and grind."
I just don't get his fascination with trying to tear down the Grizzlies organization and people that are part of the Grizzlies organization. And again, I'm not the woe is me Memphis guy. This is not me saying everyone hates Memphis, but Chandler Parsons clearly there's something there, and I don't know why there is anything there. It feels like it was a one-way ticket for you to get $94 million before you were out of the league. And they should be, I feel like the city of Memphis or the Memphis Grizzlies should be mad at you. I don't know if you should be reciprocating anger toward them. They gave you the last contract you ever saw.
It's fair.
So, all right, next.
Last point.
Next, NFL football. Last time we talked, Brock Purdy was the runaway MVP. Well, that's changed. Let me hold on.
Are we going to be able to pull the tapes?
I'm going to try to pull the tapes.
Okay, we'll see.
If I can pull the tape, it's going to go right here.
I mean, best one like lower down, probably Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
I mean,
I know you're gonna hate on this, but Lamar Jackson would be an interesting one. Man, he's got OBJ. His O line's solid. His defense can be good. He's gonna win games.
yeah, but Todd Monken's
He has Zay
much.
Flowers. He has Zay Flowers. They just drafted. Rashad Bateman's back healthy.
Yeah, but you think Lamar Jackson's going
Yes.
to win an MVP off of his arm?
I think he'll sling it.
You think he's gonna win
I
an
think
MVP
he
off
could.
his arm?
Since his
That's
MVP
crazy.
year in 2019, I guarantee he has his best passing year this year.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
Hard to beat.
And he's still gonna run for what, 800 to 1,000 yards?
I don't think Todd Monken's going to
You
let
put
him
together
run as
those.
much.
You put together that type of a stat line. I mean, he's going to be in that conversation as long as he stays healthy.
All right, we're back. That's the tape of the beginning of the year. Gabe, what did you say?
Lamar Jackson was my dark horse. He was my guy to win the MVP. You've never been. What's up with you and the Lamar? Not hate. I'm not gonna call it hate.
It's not
That's not what
hate,
it is.
and I'm not.
You just down the type of quarterback he is.
No,
brother.
I don't. I just think he has been overhyped. I don't. I think everybody's saying that he's been like a top 5 quarterback every year of his career. He has not.
I'll say this.
He's
I
ha-
think
he-
that Greg Roman, clearly, when we look at what has happened this year with Todd Monken, he held him back.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. I think he's looked better this year, but he's had one elite year in his career. We're not talking about this year. Going into
2019 unanimous MVP.
Yes,
is what you're talking about.
elite, and everybody has just called him a top 5 quarterback since then. And he has not been a top 5 quarterback over the last 2 years.
Okay, he's this year though, he's the MVP.
This year, yeah. I'm just saying. That's where we haven't talked
Right.
about this since like the beginning of the season. That's where my frustration lied.
He has surpassed his season total, like his season high total in passing yards this year. He's at 3,600, and he's probably not going to play the final week of the season because they've already wrapped up the Ravens, the one seed in the AFC. And I want to talk about their last 2 wins in a second. That's been impressive as hell to watch. But one thing that's always been the knock against Lamar, he's not a natural passer. He's not a natural thrower of the football. Maybe it doesn't look natural to some people, but I'm sorry. For people that try to act like he doesn't have top 3 arm talent in this league, you're wrong. There's been times in his
Top 3 is a little
and
excessive.
there has been times in his career where he's been a little inaccurate with the football. I haven't seen a lot of that this year, but his ability to just flick the wrist and it goes 60 yards downfield, his accuracy at times this year has been unbelievable. And his arm slots are all over the place. This guy has so much damn arm talent. Top 3, top 5, whatever. I don't care. He is at the top of the league when it comes to quarterbacks with arm talent, and he's actually following it up with production. And he can use his legs.
Yeah.
There's just so many different things he can do to kill a defense. And you see it, and he makes a lot out of nothing sometimes.
Yeah,
great.
no, I agree. I think, and I was looking at stats. Sorry. Not that tells the story, because if you look at Lamar's stats, they don't tell the story. He does not have the most elite stats in the league. Like
the rushing totals need to be added in anything you talk
and
about.
they're not even crazy this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
he's leading the team in rushing.
I mean,
yards,
yeah, but he's leading a team of Gus Edwards and Justice Hill and Keaton.
Gus Edwards has like how many touchdowns?
Like
this point?
13.
Yeah,
So
it's
I mean,
ridiculous.
Lamar Jackson this year only has 695 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Oh, sorry, wrong year. I was about to say 695 seemed like 821,
It's pretty good.
821 and 5.
Pretty good.
Not anywhere near what his
1,000,
production.
not the
I mean,
1,000.
1,200, 1,000, 800, 800.
But he's upped his passing yards.
Both of those in 12 games. So the rushing has been a little bit different this year. It hasn't been. I don't want to say it hasn't been as effective, because I think this is where I think the difference lies. I think he's running more out of passing situations than he is design runs. They're improvisation more than we have to run the ball with this guy a ton of times a game. And I think that shows his development as a passer. You just look at the stats. Completion percentage jumped 5% from last year.
Yeah.
And it's the highest it's ever been in his career. 2019 was 66.1. This year, 67.2. Average yards per completion, 8 yards. That's the highest in his career.
Most passing yards, right? We're at 36.
36.78 by far.
Yeah.
Or by 500.
And here's the other thing I do. Give Lamar Jackson.
Crazy enough, this is the most attempts he's ever had in a season.
Lamar
Where he's at right
Jackson
now.
gets all the credit in the world. He's going to be the MVP. He's minus 190 on ESPN Bet. Like that's who the guy who it should be, especially with Brock Purdy in that game 2 weeks ago throwing 4 picks and no TDs.
Right.
But the other part of this is Todd Monken as much as we were kind of worried about Lamar Jackson going to throwing more and having to drop back more in a Todd Monken system and sort of being the point guard quarterback and distributing the ball, Todd Monken's done a really good job of leading him, and he's been one of the best OCs in the NFL so far this year.
Yes, yeah, no doubt. And I know that the Ravens added to the receiving core. This receiving core is still not good. Zay Flowers is solid.
Nelson Aguilar's had to make plays.
Right. Zay Flowers is not a number one receiver, and he never will be. Zay Flowers, number 2 slot guy, gadget type.
I kind of want to wait on Zay. I want to see if Zay can progress.
I don't think he's a number one. I don't think he'll ever be a number one.
Okay.
Not to say that I don't think he's a really good, a very talented receiver. Rashad Bateman can't stay on the field. Odell has had his moments this year. He's been a little better than I expected, but it's still...
He's too old to be a number one. He's not there. He gets hurt too often, too.
Mark Andrews, who is their de facto number one, has been hurt for about half the season now. Isaiah Likely stepped up and played. So Lamar has not had a ton around him. I know a lot of people going into the season were excited about the weapons. I thought that was overblown.
Weirdly enough, though, it's more than he's had, which is kind of sad.
It is. But I still thought it was overblown. People saying how good this receiving core is. It goes back to casuals thinking like Odell is still an elite receiver and stuff like that.
But name recognition.
Right. But Lamar's done a lot. And you lose J.K. Dobbins in week 1. Their running game has not been dynamic. I mean, you got Gus Edwards, who we know is a plotter. That's just
Justice Hill.
Yeah, Justice Hill, who's been a league-long number 3 back. Keaton Mitchell, who looked really, really good. He's down for the year now. So he just there hasn't been much around him. Now, what has been around him is an elite defense. A really good defense that has helped him in those games. Because if there is
Mike McDonald, by the way. Mike McDonald.
If there is one knock on Lamar for this year, it's his consistency. His game-by-game consistency is not great. It's not perfect. Like a lot of quarterbacks, you'll see like 300. And I know Lamar's a different kind of quarterback, but you'll see the 150 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick games, and then you'll see the 350 and 5 game like he had this past week. So the game-by-game consistency hasn't been there, but when you have an elite defense and you have the playmaking ability, because I agree with you, what he's done in the pocket this year, what he's done just creation-wise, I think it was even better than what he did in 2019 because a lot of that was...
But the stats aren't there,
Yeah, I know. But a lot of that was predicated on his running success and then just his touchdowns, which I think he had the most touchdowns within 5 yards in NFL history that year, which is a lot of short passing touchdowns, which this year have regressed to Gus Edwards plodding it in from the 3 and 4 yard line. So all that to say, like Lamar has been extremely impressive, and this Ravens team as a whole has been extremely impressive, and they deserve all the shine that they're getting because they smacked the 49ers, smacked them. Like a team that all of us would have put our money on and said that they're the best team in the league. I believe. Beat them by 14 points.
Yeah.
Handled.
Although I did I called that. That was a pick I gave away on my show. I said, I'm telling you, the Ravens are going to win that game.
You didn't call it by 14 points.
In a
demolition.
No chance. It took them part limb by limb.
Nobody saw them demolishing them.
Yes, coming. I agree with you. And then this weekend.
Yeah.
What they did to the Dolphins.
Dismantling the Dolphins. 56 points.
56-19.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And he was perfect. That was... He came out and he said, I am winning the MVP today because I'm not playing week 18. Yeah. So let me win it today.
And if you pay attention to Lamar Jackson, there is one team that he murders every time. And this is Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
That's his home. I mean, he's a Miami guy. That's his place, is Miami.
Was it 2 years ago that they hung did they had a
2019. I think they had 63 on. Or
something ridiculous.
Something. It was
in the
week
50s.
1.
It was in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, it was week 1 of 2019, and that's when the MVP season started. Everybody was like, oh my gosh. It was Lamar year 2, and he absolutely demolished.
He does hammer them.
He does. He has his best games against the Dolphins.
They're also fakers, though, too.
So yeah.
They're fakers.
For sure. Yeah. Is that all we got?
Is that it?
I think
you
so.
got a Cowboys sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you think about the
Lions call?
The old not report thing.
Taylor Decker clearly reported. Yeah. Taylor Decker clearly talked to Brad Allen and reported.
Same with Dan Skipper.
Yeah.
I don't know,
dude,
man.
that was so
and then people
wild.
are like, people were saying it's an illegal formation anyway. He's covered up, and I'm like, no, the tight end at the top of the screen's off the line.
Yeah.
Call him the hell, and this wide receiver at the bottom.
And what's crazy is, you would think.
So you, even as a Cowboys fan, you're glad the call was made so they could win the game, but you're like, no, that's BS.
The crazy thing is they announced it over the loudspeaker that 70 was eligible. And nobody on the Lions sideline, nobody that was on the field for the Lions.
68.
Yeah,
68.
nobody picked up on it and was like, hey, we need to call a timeout. Like, something's got to change here because they announced.
He walked right up.
Right up. He was
to the ref.
Yeah, he was talking to Brad Allen.
Do you have to do this one?
Yeah.
Is that what? So. But still, man, if he, I have a hard time believing he walked up to Brad Allen and didn't not
tell him he was eligible.
Yeah.
No.
But don't you think at that point though, they know what you want to do? Get the point and go to overtime. That felt like a Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell was
like he doubled down.
Big
He absolutely doubled down.
Big balls.
Yeah, no, he went a little too hard with that. It's after
when
that,
you're back at the 7, that you kick it.
After that, yes, kick it.
Yeah.
Then they went to the 5 or 4, right?
The 3.5 after
because of the penalty
offsides, and then
they went for it again.
They throw it to their third string tight end.
Unbelievable.
Who was wide open?
Yeah.
Who was wide open? I mean, like, it's not a bad call because if Goff puts the ball on him, he's walking in. And he just threw it low and he dropped it.
I just think you got to go for that point, man.
That was ridiculous.
It was a roller coaster. Like, so me and Anna Ruth went on a date Saturday night because I was like, look, this point in the year, like, we've been doing so much, I just want to, like, get away from everything else. So we just went and had, like, a date night on Saturday night. And we got home with about 7 minutes left. And I was like, oh, we'll watch this one out.
You caught the whole game, basically.
I was like, we'll watch this one out. And I was like, oh, my gosh, I wish we would have just, like, gotten home as the game ended and just been like, oh, they won.
That was
sweet.
Oh, they won.
Because the restaurant we went to, there was I don't mean like, oh, I don't have much. No, my phone was in SOS mode the whole time. So I didn't know anything that happened. I didn't want to. Like, I stayed off of it, didn't care. And then I get home and I'm like, oh, there's 7 minutes left. That's cool. We'll finish this one out. It's like, no, I wish that game would have been over and I just would have checked my phone and be like, oh, cool, we won.
You caught everything of consequence. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I had about 4 heart attacks. All right, we are going to close it out. We appreciate you guys for joining us back this week after a couple of weeks off. If you are watching on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and comment there. If you are listening on any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else, you can like, subscribe, and comment there as well. Once again, we appreciate you guys for joining us, and we will see you back here next week.
Thank you for listening to On the Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.